camera on once we.
Hold on, currently in the process of Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to SportsTimeHQ. I am your host, Fernando. Joining with me today is my great co-host, Gary. Gary, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I'm excited to talk about some football.
Yeah, I'm excited. My AirPods somehow are connecting on and off, like we were questioning on just before going on the show, which makes no sense why it's happening. But can you hear yourself twice? Is my question.
No, I was the first time, but I'm good now. So.
Okay, that's good. You mentioned you were asking me how to turn the camera on the thing. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how to do it on TikTok, but I mean, you're live on YouTube. That's all that matters, right? I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's get into some news and notes from around the league. First things first. There's Young-Ho Koo. He is signing with a new team. It is with the Giants. It's just recent news that comes out. I mean, I think we kind of already expected this to happen. We expected him to find a new team real quick. He was a longtime kicker for the Falcons.
Yeah, I think the main reason is just the injury to Graham Gano. I mean, obviously they need a new kicker, and it was kind of a big deal because they were bringing out Jamie Gillen to kick PATs against the Chiefs, and that did not go well. I believe the first one he tried went way wide, and it was just a horrible attempt. So it was clear they needed to actually bring a real kicker in.
Now, my question is, do you think the Falcons are regretting their life choices?
I mean, I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, if they think they found their guy, then they think they found their guy. But Koo didn't really have a good final tenure with Atlanta, so kickers are able to go like any other player and revitalize their career if they go somewhere else. I've seen it numerous times with former Browns kickers. So if he's able to do it, then good for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see if he's going to be finally starting for them and everything. And hopefully for the Falcons, they can actually get their kicker back to normal, back to what they did. If not, they're going to regret Young-Ho Koo cutting him. Let's go on to the Chiefs. They finally won. They finally got themselves a win against those Giants. But I must say the Giants are 0-3, and Deion Jones is 3-0 as a call. And Jones is also the first quarterback in history to have 3+ rushing and 3+ throwing touchdowns in the first 3 weeks of the season. And Russell Wilson has already been named. He is not going to be the starter. Dable was non-committable about Wilson starting for week 4. It is now the Jackson Dart season. They're going to throw that first-round dart throw out on the field and see what happens with him.
Yeah, I think it's about time. I mean, we're only through 3 weeks, but Russell Wilson, outside of the game against the Cowboys, he looked horrible. And I think that, fourth down play, for example, was
Mhm.
the final straw. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if you saw that play where he threw it out of bounds way over whoever it was his head at
What
the very end of the game into
into
the crowd,
the yeah, okay. I
or
did see
it
that.
hit the it hit the upright or something like that. That was hilarious. But
One went
I
into the
mean,
tunnel, the other one hit the crossbar. I
yes,
mean,
yeah. So I think they had just about had enough, and they're gonna go with their guy.
yeah, I mean, you might as well. You spent a late first round pick on him. I mean, if it's not working with Russell Wilson, I'm surprised they didn't try Jameis, but we did see a little flash of dart for 2-3 plays that they had him in, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, for anyone who wants Jackson Dart in fantasy, he's a good streamer for the week. But again, it's just a streamer, not something you need to go out and go grab and pick him up. Well, Jordan Addison and both Demarcus Robinson, they have both been reinstated after serving their 3-game suspension for violating the league's substance policy. This is huge for the Vikings because now they finally can put pressure off Justin Jefferson, have Jordan Addison now there. And then Demarcus Robinson, he's still in 49ers. This just kind of adds some depth pieces because honestly, the 49ers are the most injury-prone team somehow. I don't know if they're cursed, Gary, but somehow this team is just not. It's just always injured. They lose Nick Bosa now for the season.
Yeah, that was obviously a big loss. And I mean, it's a different team every year. It just unfortunately happens to be the 49ers this year. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is just a depth piece, but we kind of saw him have success with the Rams. So, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Maybe he can, have a couple of good games with Mac Jones at quarterback if he's still the quarterback, or Purdy when he comes back. But I think they need kind of anybody if they can go out there and play. I think they need him to because, like you mentioned, they're just everybody under the sun right now is hurt for them. So
Everybody. I mean, we'll talk more on the injuries in a little bit. Vikings Steelers, it's happening. It's in Dublin. They're not going to get to see God tier JJ McCarthy, but they'll see Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I don't think anything about him is God tier, but yeah, no, that should be a good game. I mean, especially if Carson Wentz maybe brings back this Vikings offense a little bit. I mean, I know we had talked about it and we were done with Hawkinson, at least for, right now. And of course, I played him the first 2 weeks. Week 3, I sit him 15 points. So I will throw him back out there with Carson Wentz, and hopefully it is a quarterback issue. Until JJ McCarthy can start throwing him the ball, I'll sit him when JJ McCarthy's playing. But yeah, no, we should be in for a good game in Dublin.
Yeah, excited. It's the first game in Dublin ever.
Yep.
Not so great of a game, though, I must say, between the two teams. But
yeah, probably not. But
it's a game. Undefeated teams. We went down to 6 undefeated teams from 10 last week. This week, it's the Bills. Now it's the Bills, Colts, Chargers in the AFC, and then Eagles, 49ers, Buccaneers in the NFC. And then for the winless teams, we're also down to 6 from 10. Jets, Dolphins, Texans, Titans in the AFC, and then the Giants and the Saints all winless. Gary, there's some key matchups between the undefeated teams, some winless teams, but also teams that are undefeated and also winless as well. One undefeated team is Philadelphia taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's going to be a good game.
That's going to be a great game.
Going to be a really good game. Winless teams, one of them will finally get a win. The Jets in Miami, which I believe is Monday night, which is not the greatest game to watch. And then Tennessee and Houston, which another mediocre game.
Yeah.
New Orleans and Buffalo. New Orleans 0-3, Buffalo 3-0. It's just not. It's again not a good matchup for New Orleans. If you got a survivor,
did they ever have a good matchup? I mean,
yeah, honestly, it's just horrendous after horrendousness. I mean, if you got a survivor league that you're still going, Buffalo is a good one to pick for your survivor. Gary, I don't know if you're doing it, but I'm on 3 straight weeks. I'm still in.
I already lost. So yeah.
Did you? Who'd you pick?
Yeah. I think I took the Niners. No, was it? No, I honestly don't remember. It was last week. I can't remember who I picked.
Did you take the Falcons for the over the Panthers?
No. It was week
Okay.
2. It was week 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who it was. Whoever the Seahawks played. I don't exactly quite remember,
I
but
can't think of it off the top of my head either.
whoever won that game, I picked the Steelers to win week 2 in
That's a tough one.
So
That's
I
a
was like,
tough
you know
one.
what? I just want to get a tough team out of the way right now, and get the price for it. So listen, that's what happens. I mean, it was only $20, so not really upset, but
mine's a free league. I'm gonna be honest. If I win at the end of the season, I'm gonna be so upset. Should have been like, man, should have put some money on it.
Right.
In the TikTok, Dynasty fan, he's liking the video. He's liking the live. Dynasty fan, solid guy. Go follow him. Another winless team versus an undefeated team. The Chargers are taking on the Giants. Again, another brutal one.
Yeah.
Chargers. I mean, tough game for Jackson Dart to start.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers are just, besides obviously the Eagles, if you're doing power rankings, Eagles obviously number 1 because they're Super Bowl champions. They haven't lost. But the Chargers look very, very strong.
They do. And that's definitely a welcome to the NFL game for Jackson Dart. However, definitely a better game to watch than the one that you previously mentioned, New Orleans versus Buffalo, just due to the fact that it's Dart's first game. I think I'll be tuning in, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be another exciting one to see again how Jackson Dart will do in his first full game as a starter. Gary, any more news before we go into the injuries?
Not that I can think of.
All right, let's go into the injury report. We have a lot of injuries, which at first, when I was putting in all the notes, I was like, man, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that many injuries this week. It turned out to be a book. I mean, I could write a book about how many injuries there are. Could be a bestseller. Who knows? But let's start with the quarterbacks. Got 3 main quarterbacks to talk about. Many of them you already know from last week. J.J. McCarthy, he's dealing with a high ankle sprain. He is officially out of the walking boot. Carson Wentz, we already mentioned, he is going to be starting for week 4 in Dublin against the Steelers. But again, head coach Kevin O'Connell said mobility is one of his weapons, J.J. McCarthy, and they want to make sure that he is healthy. So they're not trying to bring back him right away, trying to get him the rest that they can. And hopefully Carson Wentz can deliver a win against the Steelers. I mean, it'll be a tough matchup for Carson Wentz, but I'm thinking J.J. McCarthy will be back within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I saw that he was expected back week 7. So I guess like anything prior to that, I would deem as like a good thing for the Vikings, I guess. Also the fact that if you have him in fantasy, you might be skeptical to play in the first couple of games back because, like I said, I saw numerous reports saying that they're expecting him back week 7. Hopefully, if he plays before that, he's not rushed back, and that doesn't necessarily aggravate something else, of course. But yeah, look for Carson Wentz to maybe try to put himself back on the map for maybe getting a payday next year, and he could be a starter somewhere. Who knows?
He could. He very much could. Could be a good backup too.
That's it.
But Brock Purdy still dealing with that turf toe. He's expected to practice this week, and they're going to reevaluate him. But also to mention, Mac Jones has a PCL sprain. He's currently day-to-day. If somehow, some way, in a terrible world for the 49ers, which wouldn't be surprising, Brock Purdy and Mac Jones cannot play, Adrian Martinez is the only quarterback eligible to be on the active roster for game days.
That's crazy. I mean, this genuinely reminds me of how the Browns were in 2023, where they were, literally without everybody. Like a new player, a new key player to their team is getting hurt every week. That's how I feel with the Niners. Numerous key players getting hurt every week. However, still finding a way to be 3-0, still finding ways to win games. and hopefully still finding ways to make the playoffs. But obviously that's a while away from where we are right now. But yeah, crazy to think that. I mean, Mac Jones is also already hurt. Oh God.
I'm telling you, it's brutal. It's brutal out here for the 49ers. Jay Daniels, he's still dealing with that knee. Dan Quinn, head coach for the Commanders, say he's day to day. Again, they don't want to rush him back. Marcus Mariota played actually pretty good until a couple plays where he didn't look that good. He looks back to his washed self. But, I mean, nonetheless, Marcus Mariota did win, and they don't want to rush Jay Daniels back, which I think is very smart for the Commanders.
Yeah, no, for sure. Especially considering the fact that, I mean, they just played the Raiders, who
Yeah.
even with the backup, you're probably going to beat. So definitely a game that Jane Daniels could have missed. I don't know what their upcoming schedule looks like, but if they have any, games where I think you could still pull out a win against, some bad teams, then I would expect them to take even more caution with them.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Let's go into the running backs. Some brutal ones.
Yeah.
James Conner and Najee Harris. James Conner has an ankle injury. He's out for the season. It's a season-ending ankle injury. It looked bad. I don't know if you saw the play.
I did.
It didn't look that good. And then Najee Harris, he tore his Achilles. He's also going to be out for the season. That just means it's Trey Benson season and Amari Hampton season officially for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, I did see that James Conner injury, and prayers to him, because I knew it was going to be bad immediately. I have him on my fantasy team, so that's going to suck for me. But obviously, I'm more worried about himself as a player and a person. So hopefully, he can get back next year, because he's you know how I feel about James Conner always. He's been one of these just most underrated fantasy RB guys. I think he's like top 5 or 6 in running back and touchdowns since like 2020 or whenever it was that he before that, when he entered the league, which is crazy, and you might think about it. But yeah, the same goes for Najee Harris. You know how much I like him too. Sucks that he's going to be out for the season. But like you mentioned, Trey Benson and Amari Hampton, their stock only goes up because who is in that backfield other than them?
There's Amari DiMercado for the Cardinals.
Right. Exactly.
He's going far. He's going far with that.
Yeah.
We got a question from Raphael. Any recommendations on what to do with Chase Brown? Well, let me tell you. I was a big believer in Chase Brown this year. I thought he was going to pop out like he did last year. I'm nervous to say that last year is his ceiling. That's my concern, that he could have had his career year and it was his ceiling, and last year was it. I would give it at least another week or two. If somehow you have to start him, you draft him so high, you have to start him. You expect him to break out and have a breakout game. He has not hit that breakout game yet. I think right now you're starting him with the expectations he's going to break out, but if he doesn't, now the question becomes, are you going to bench him or are you going to drop him? And I think it's almost impossible to say that you're going to drop him. But if we come out to week 5, week 6, and he's still not producing, I'm sorry, in redraft leagues, by week 5 or 6, even if the guy's 99% owned, he shouldn't be 99% owned, but he is because of the name. So I think realistically, after 6 weeks, if you haven't produced and it's dud after dud after dud, you're just wasting a roster spot at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, I get what you're saying, but who better on the waiver wire are you really going to get? I mean, me and you know better than everybody else that scavenging the waiver wire to find just one guy to talk about
running backs, especially.
Right. That's what I'm saying. For running backs is bad enough. I don't think it would ever get to the point where we have to drop him, but yeah, I mean, there could be a scenario in which you start benching him. I would give it 2 more weeks. I think the Joe Burrow injury really hurt him, because obviously they're not going to be able to move the ball as much. But I would still give it a few more weeks, just due to the fact that, we're still early. He's going up against Denver next, who on paper
Hmm.
is a phenomenal defense. We know that. But they got absolutely decimated by Jonathan Taylor. So maybe, there's some potential upside to that. And then you have Detroit, who also is a tough run defense.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, the schedule doesn't get much better after that. But, give it a few more weeks. If he's still not producing, then yeah, maybe you have to think about benching him. But I would never drop him just due to the fact that the
Yeah.
upside's always there and it's still early. So,
Raphael, good question. I mean, I have Chase Brown in a couple leagues, so that's the biggest problem. I mean, he also is asking, is it too early to try and trade him? I was trying to trade him for Jacobs or Hampton. Neither owner budges. I mean, unfortunately, neither owner is going to budge because one, Hampton's the hype rookie, especially now that he's officially got the whole backfield to himself. And then Josh Jacobs has been producing. I think it's going to be tough to try and trade him, honestly. It's right now a hold. You're just going to have to hold and hope that he somehow turns out to be the Chase Brown that we saw from last year.
I also think you shouldn't move him because people are going to buy him low. I mean,
Exactly.
you can only sell him so high off of what you're seeing. I mean, you're asking these questions, right? Like, he's been bad, and so does everybody else that's going to be, on the receiving end of this trade. So I think you're going to be selling him really, really low at his lowest point, and that's obviously not beneficial for you. I agree. I would just hold right now, especially if neither owner is budging, then there's no real reason to try.
I think if you're honestly trying to trade him, I think people are so concerned that you might just get like a wide receiver 6 or something like a lower end running back because of his production, and maybe a bag of chips to sweeten up the deal. That's about it. I honestly, if someone tried to offer me Chase Brown right now, I'd probably say, listen, as much as I know how much he was valued last year, this year he hasn't produced. I don't want to take a chance on this running back who you drafted early, so I know you want some good players for, but isn't producing, and I don't want it.
Yeah.
Raphael, good question. Tyrone Tracy, let's go back into the running backs. Tyrone Tracy Jr., he's dealing with a shoulder injury. This was a later injury report. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. So again, rookie Cam Scotabo, no competition there. He's going to go right in, and Cam Scotabo, I mean, he looked like a beast on Sunday Night Football.
Maybe I was wrong about him, man. I did not think that his game was going to translate to the NFL. And listen, if he shuts me up, I'm all for it. I love it when I'm wrong, honestly, because I just love the game of football. I love seeing, competition. And, speaking of competition, I totally agree with you. Cam Scotabo has none of it right now in that backfield. It's completely his, with Tyrone Tracy being hurt. Although, shout out to your guy, Devin Singletary, who's also in that backfield.
Yeah, Devin Singletary is there. Should have I added him to the waiver wire out of the week?
Hey, that was your guy of the year last year. So.
I talked about him so many times. I think I was all in on him, and you and Keith were all in on Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah.
And then I slowly went into Tyrone Tracy, but hey, it is what it is. Wide receivers. Not so big news. Alec Pierce dealing with concussion. That's just something to monitor this week. But 2 bigger ones. Mike Evans, he's got a low-grade hamstring injury. The MRI was set today, but I believe the results came out that he's expected to miss 2 to 4 weeks. Am I correct on that?
For Mike Evans, you said?
Yeah.
I saw 3 to 4. So
I
don't know. It just sucks for Mike Evans, man, because well, here's the thing. He's had a history of hamstring injuries. I feel like he's had one every year of his career, and usually they linger for just about everybody else. But he's a guy that I always thought about as being injury prone. He gets these hamstring injuries all the time. He must not have played that many games. Well, if you look at his stats, he's played 14 plus games, almost every year. So if you're necessarily nervous about it lingering around, I wouldn't. Usually for everybody else it does, but for him, he must just be used to it at this point. But I saw 3 to 4 weeks, and hopefully it doesn't affect him after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the craziest stat that I saw was he's now had 7 straight seasons with hamstring injuries.
Yeah, exactly. So
7 straight seasons.
it's
With a
crazy.
hammy. I don't know. Mike Evans getting too old, but I don't think so just yet. But he is just consistently getting those hamstring injuries. But again, something to keep in mind for Baker is he's got no Mike Evans. He's got no Chris Godwin, who is the next man, Mika Ibuka, and
true.
of course Sterling Shepard. But Mika Ibuka, I'm actually a little concerned because we were never expecting him to be the wide receiver 1 on this team right away anyways. This is going to show if Emeka Ibuka can stand out as a wide receiver 1 on a team.
Yeah, this will definitely be a test. I think he'll be up for it, but don't expect anything like that. First week he had where he put up 25 points or whatever it was with the 2 touchdowns. He's going to be going up against DB1s, and he's not used to that. He's never been a wide receiver 1 in his college and so far through his NFL career. But yeah, like I said, it'll be a test. I'll surely be tuning in, but it's crazy to think that we're only 3 weeks in, and the Bucs are now already without Evans, Godwin, and McMillan, and Egbuka was already hurt too. So it's crazy to see. Hopefully they can get all their guys back, because when they're fully healthy, that is one of the most dynamic and fun offenses to watch in football.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think it's always a fun one to watch with Baker balling out as well.
Yeah.
Another one, big news, is CeeDee Lamb has a high ankle sprain. He is out at least 2 weeks. They already talked about that there is consideration putting him on IR, but I feel like with these kind of injuries, we kind of see these players come back within 3 to 5 weeks, which would fit in right around the IR slot. I think that's why they're concerned, because they want him to come back right away. But I think you have George Pickens there. We know George Pickens has been a wide receiver 1 before. I just think you need to put him on IR. I think you don't want to risk losing Lamb for the season and just make him come back when he's fully healthy. You have Tolbert too, and then you have the big man that was traded, Jonathan Mingo. They traded for him.
But then third rounder, whatever it was.
Yeah, maybe it'll come to use now with him.
Crazy. This sucks for CD, right? Because he's a top 5, maybe top 3 wide receiver in the league. In my opinion, I absolutely love CeeDee Lamb. You never want to see this happen to a superstar player. But I think he's going to go on the IR. I don't necessarily think it's going to be longer than 5 weeks. I think they're just going to do it because it's not going to be anything shorter than that either. I expect 4, maybe 5. It did not look pretty. He's lucky it's not broken, to be totally honest with you. So, yeah, I think just rest him up. You can move the ball still with George Pickens. I mean, he's been a wide receiver 1 before in the Steelers offense, and he's starting to come alive the past couple of weeks. So, I think George Pickens' stock goes up a lot. Jalen Tolbert is definitely going to be a top waiver wire add this week, because after that, I think there's a massive drop-off in names in this room.
Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah, he's not. We all know that he's not worth the 3rd round.
No.
I don't know how the Panthers ended up finessing the Cowboys like that, but crazy.
I don't know. They still suck, but they did win. Yeah. They did win this past week. Put up 30 burger against the Falcons. I knew a lot of survivor pick people. They picked the Falcons, and they scored a big old goose egg. You would against the Panthers, but I'm not a person in survivor picks. I do not pick teams that are facing each other that are from the same division, because it's always, because it's a divisional rivalry, it's always a tough matchup, and you see them twice a year. Usually there's sometimes a split between those games, and that's why I don't trust it.
Just so happens to be if you pick that one and you're done.
Yeah, exactly. Tight ends, only 2, nothing too crazy. Noah Fant dealing with concussion. Monitor him this week. And then Darren Waller, He has yet to play for the Dolphins, but he's dealing with that hip injury. There is intent to play for Week 4.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna throw in anything else here. Two guys that you don't really expect to play too much of a factor in the offenses, but who knows? Darren Waller, it would be cool to see him kind of have a nice little comeback. But Noah Fant did catch a touchdown, I believe, week 1 or 2 of the year. So
I thought it was maybe Noah Fant season again, but it turns out it hasn't been yet.
Probably not.
Probably not. Gary, you got any more news, notes, injuries, anything else we got to add?
I saw, just because we were on the notion of tight ends, I saw Kittle is eyeing a week 6 return. I feel like we might have touched on that last week, but if we didn't, then that's what I just saw.
Week 6 return. Yikes. Oh, I mean, hopefully Crazy. You can put him on your IR and keep him on your IR, but man, it's been tough sledding for those 49ers still. I still stand by that. They were number one. Crazy. They're the number one team in 2024 with injuries. I think they're currently leading the NFL and probably will finish as number 1 with injuries again in 2025. It's nuts. It's actually nuts. All right. Well, let's get into the waiver wire show, of course, the most important part of the show. You want me to start with my guy?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I'll start with my guy. My guy is a guy who used to play for a different team, and he is now traveled, not so far actually, but he is on the Las Vegas Raiders, and that is Geno Smith. You take a look at his stats, and I mean, the guy has been playing phenomenal this past week. He finished as a QB4, has had up and down finishes, QB 15, 31, 4, but he's currently ranked as QB 11. He's got a very favorable matchup with Chicago, who actually gives up the 3rd most points to quarterbacks. So I think that is something that you'd like to see with Geno Smith if you want to see those points against the defense. And again, the QBs were actually a little tough to go after this week. It was tough to find. I actually almost put Marcus Mariota as my waiver wire ad for quarterback.
Wow.
I was debating about it. I actually debated about it, but I think Geno was the better option. But I do think Marcus Mariota is a streamer this week for anyone who is in deep leagues and looking for another quarterback.
Yeah, so, I mean, Geno Smith, I want to reiterate this. I don't necessarily want to say he's been playing phenomenal. Fantasy-wise, he's been good.
This past week, he played phenomenal.
This past week, yes, he did. 26 points is exactly what you want, especially from a guy like Geno Smith. Definitely not going to be the guy that you envision starting at the beginning of your fantasy football season. But yeah, he was a good option last week, solid option in week 1, and I think that he can be a solid option going forward. The run game just isn't working right now for them, so they're definitely just going to keep chucking the ball downfield. So.
Yeah, I mean, if the run game ain't working, which I think is the problem, is Genty. They had to change. They made him change his style, and I think that hurt him.
It could have, but I don't know. I've been watching a ton of film on that, and the offensive line is just horrible, absolutely horrible. He gets touched behind the line of scrimmage on just about every run, and that is not a recipe for success.
No.
Obviously, when he was at Boise State, they didn't necessarily have a great offensive line either, but it's a huge transition from having a battle line in college to having a battle line in the NFL. So.
Yeah, I do agree to that. Who is your guy? I'm sure you were fielding through those options, but you came down across one again.
I think he was my week 1 pickup well, but it just happened to get hurt. I'm going to go with Justin Fields. He's still out there in 38% of leagues. He's only owned in 62. He's going up against Miami this weekend, who's horrible. Their defense is abysmal, possibly the worst in the league. He didn't play this last week, but if he clears concussion protocol, which I think he will, I think you need to pick him up because, like I said, Miami's defense is abysmal, and just some past quarterbacks that they've played so far this year. Daniel Jones, 29 points. We all remember that horrible week one for their defense. Drake May, 26 points. Josh Allen, surprisingly enough, putting up the least, but still putting up 23 points. These guys are all mobile quarterbacks, and Justin Fields is about as mobile as he gets. I expect him to have a 20-plus point week if he plays. Hopefully he does. Like I said, if he clears concussion protocol and he's on your waiver wire, I think you need to pick him up.
Yeah, I can't actually complain. I completely forgot. I actually thought he would have been over 70%. I didn't realize he actually went under the 70%. He did play good in week one, and that's why we talked about him for week two waivers. And again, I think this is a good option to go get. I do think he's going to clear concussion protocol, like you said. I would be surprised if he doesn't. It must be more of a severe type of injury for the concussion. But again, like you said, with Drake May and Josh Allen scoring over 20-plus points and them being mobile quarterbacks and the Dolphins not having a great defense, I'm all in on Justin Fields going to grab him.
Yeah.
Geno Smith, Justin Fields, our waiver wire quarterbacks of the week. Let's go into our waiver wire running backs. And Gary, start us off hunting down the prowl and going for those guys.
Yeah, so obviously the RB room, always tough to come up with a guy. But, this is more of an easier choice for me. I went with Kareem Hunt. And, in 2025, it might not be the sexiest name nowadays. But he just put up 11 points this week. And the good thing is, if you know me, I'm a fan of value, right? And I think Kareem Hunt still has value in 2025 in the Chiefs running back room. His carries have gone up each week from 5 to 8 to 10. Now, those aren't humongous differences, but he's technically still the RB2. So it's nice to see that his role is increasing in the offense. Not to mention, he's done more than Pacheco, not by much, but he has the only rushing touchdown between the two. He's RB39 compared to Pacheco's RB50. And also, of course, the possibility of Pacheco's injury from last season and even the season before that continuing to linger, which just so happens to a lot of running backs in these leagues. So I don't know. I think that if you're trying to find a flyer guy, Kareem Hunt could be a nice pick. We've seen him have value in this Chiefs offense time and time again. So who knows? If there's a week where he is like the true clear-cut RB1 in that offense, maybe Pacheco goes down for a week, he's going to put up 20 points. I mean, he happens to do it every year. So,
yeah, I enjoyed seeing Kareem Hunt get into the touchdown, get into the end zone. And we kind of seen this before in the past where Kareem Hunt takes the role and takes the starting role. Pacheco hasn't been really that guy that we've seen, that we hoped to see since coming off that injury. If he still can't, Kareem Hunt's going to take over, and they're going to go with the hot hand. And I think right now is Kareem Hunt. You said how much is he percent owned? He's not that high, 42?
Only 42%, so he's out there.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. That's a good one, especially if you just lost James Conner or if you have Najee Harris. I realized in one of my leagues that's very thin on running backs, I actually started Najee Harris. That's how bad the running backs are.
Wow.
I think it was a 12-man, so it was tough. I'll go with my guy, and I think, Gary, this might be the consensus.
Yeah, it was going to be mine if you didn't take him, of course.
Yeah, it is Trey Benson, and if you haven't done so, see some highlights. He did break out a little bit here and there, but he averaged 11 attempts a game this season. This will now all go to Benson. That's how much Connor was getting. Expect double digits from him. He's averaged actually exactly around 8 points a game. Again, Seattle, who they're facing this week, gives up the 10th most to running backs this year. I think Trey Benson is a guy that I'm perfectly fine actually plugging and playing.
Yeah, me too. Like I already mentioned, you know how much of a fan I was of James Conner. I think, although I don't think Trey Benson's the player that James Conner is, he's going to fill the role perfectly fine, I think. Arizona loves to run the ball. So whoever's back there, if they can, churn some yards, they're going to run for 50 yards and a touchdown every game. Now, that's the one thing I love about Connor is, he gives you the upside of the 20-plus point games, but he very rarely goes below like 10 points, which is
Yeah.
awesome. To me, I love that,
For a 30-year-old
not
back too.
Right, exactly. And the thing about Trey Benson is he's the young guy, right? It's only his second year. I believe he was a rookie last year. So he's got a lot of juice, and we'll see if he can turn into the stud that maybe Arizona fans think he can be.
I tell you, I held him. I think he was drafted, actually 2 years ago or something.
Yeah, it might have been 2 years ago.
I drafted him in Dynasty, and I held him. I knew one day he was going to break out, but I didn't think it was going to be now because I traded him this past week.
Oh, no.
I traded him,
sucks.
I traded him, on Friday or if not Saturday, early Saturday. Wow. And this was in the deal with, I got Jameson Williams and I got rid of Brian Thomas Jr. and everything. And I was like, man, the timing couldn't have been just impeccable.
Worse.
I just could not believe that happened. But hey, it is what it is. You take the chance. I got good picks in return, anyways. And I got my guy Jameson Williams, who I still believe somehow will finish top 10 this season. That was my bold prediction.
That's right. That's right.
I think, yeah, I don't know. It's so sad. He needed a running back too. He was actually gonna go and try and trade for James Conner. Now he has Trey Benson, so he's perfectly fine now.
Yeah.
Other teams dealing with. But
right.
Trey Benson, Kareem Hunt, our two running back ads of the week for the waivers. Let's go into our wide receivers. And I'm going to be honest. It was another one that was tough. I was going back and forth. I know you have the big guy to talk about, but I'll start with the guy that's not so much, not too many things to talk about with him, but it's Tyquan Thornton. Who would have thought I've been talking about Tyquan Thornton? Back-to-back weeks with a touchdown. He had 18.1 points this past week, 13-plus points in those 2 weeks. He serves as a deep threat. He's a deep stash streamer. If Worthy is out, this is the guy, and I'm willing to put him in the flex, to actually start him in the flex. As you see with that play right there, he was deep thrown. He just didn't catch it, and then all of a sudden, this next play, he just goes behind. It was just an absolutely crazy, crazy play to watch. Do the Patriots have a bad developmental team? Maybe. Because Mac Jones was doing pretty good, decent good, not amazing, but decently good. And then Tyquan Thornton now, he's the only guy really on Kansas City who can go for a deep threat. But this was the Xavier Worthy type of player. That's why I'm concerned if Xavier Worthy comes back, what's going to happen with Tyquan Thornton? I still don't think they're going to rush Xavier Worthy back, so don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you say, tell me, Xavier Worthy sucks. He is not good. Let me just tell you.
Hold on though. Let me catch you here. So if you're saying pick up Tyquan Thornton now because he plays just like how Xavier Worthy plays, right? Mm-hmm. How is Xavier Worthy coming back going to affect him if he sucks?
That's why I said he's a deep stash streamer.
Okay. I see.
That's why I said. I backed myself up before getting into this argument. But Xavier Worthy, they're going to realize Xavier Worthy's not that great, and they're going to have to put him somewhere else in the offense. Maybe, I wouldn't be surprised, actually. It wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe kind of putting him as a running back a little bit, using him on jet sweeps a lot more. Not as a full-on running back, but like jet sweeps.
Yeah, I could see that. And they started to do that, I feel like, towards the end of last season more, and maybe they were going to implement that more, throughout the season. Obviously, their time got cut short week one, but, it's kind of funny that we're talking about Xavier Worthy right now because someone in my big money league dropped him, and I picked him up because now he is my wide receiver, 5, I think. Or, well, technically he's my wide receiver 6 because he's sitting on or he was sitting on IR. I just had to take him off, so now he's my 5. But crazy. I don't know how you could drop him, which is that's kind of insane.
I think you can drop him.
No, okay.
Yeah, I was in a league where I accidentally auto drafted because my sleeper glitched out on me, and it just so happened to pick up my enemy, and it was Xavier Worthy. I genuinely tried trading him. I tried giving him
Fine.
away. And then all of a sudden he goes injury, and then he became injured. I'm so done. I'm so done. So done with this BS. I'm over it.
Well, to talk about Tyquan Thornton, yeah, I guess he's starting to, come into his own in Kansas City. Back-to-back good weeks, as you mentioned, that catch was incredible. So yeah, maybe if he becomes a deep threat guy for Kansas City, even with Xavier Worthy back, I can see him, having some crazy work, crazy weeks where if you're in desperation mode and need to start Tyquan Thornton, then you could get lucky and maybe puts
Who
up
knows?
another
Maybe
20-point week.
Yeah, maybe both is going to help the offense produce.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just tell you. I don't know if you know. There's a big matchup happening on Sunday, and it's the 1-2 Ravens versus the 1-2 Chiefs. One of these teams are going to start the season 1-3.
Yeah, that's crazy
Isn't that
to
crazy?
think about. That's
Isn't
very,
that
very, very
crazy?
crazy to think about.
My goodness, that's going to be a cinema game to watch.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't really talk about if we actually saw true 1-2 teams playing. But
yeah.
Anyways, my guy was double T. Your guy is also double T. Who is your guy?
Yeah, I went with Trey Tucker, who's the big 41-point game this weekend. That was insane. I don't think we'll see that again from him, but I don't think he's going to be a one-week wonder. His targets have gone up every week. Like I said, I'm a guy of value. He's going from 3 targets to 8 targets to 9, and he's already through 3 weeks the wide receiver 4. Of course, we're only through 3 weeks, so that's not too much to get hyped about. But if this guy finishes like as a top 30 wide receiver, then that would be a great waiver wire pickup. I think it's possible that he has another good game next week. He's going up against a beaten-up Chicago defense, still, I think, without their top corner, Jalen Johnson. So expect him to maybe take the top off again. You talked about Geno Smith already, and I said how I like, his ability to chuck the deep ball here and there. Trey Tucker is their deep guy and has been for the last couple of years. So against Chicago, maybe he puts up another 15 to 20-point week, catches a long ball touchdown.
Yeah, I think something to keep in mind is, again, the reason why he is wide receiver 4 is because he put up those 40 points this past week.
Right.
I mean, week 1 it wasn't a bad week. He had just 13.5 points just about. And last week, though, in week 2, he had just shy of 5 points, which, again, is not something you want from a wide receiver 4. But again, we're so early into the season that it's hard to kind of predict these players on how they're going to do because we haven't seen this new team with the new offense, especially with a new quarterback in Trey Tucker and Geno Smith trying to figure something out with that. But I do think Trey Tucker is going to be one of the top guys. Obviously, he's a wide receiver 4, so they're going to be like, oh, I got to get this wide receiver 4 off the waivers. I will probably be one of them who is also trying to get him off the waivers because he did just score you 40 points. And like you said, Gary, you say he's not going to be a one-week wonder, then that means for fantasy managers, you want that. You want them to keep being consistent. And that's where you look at the targets. Like you said, 8 and 9 targets the past couple of weeks. He's getting the targets. If it was like he got 4 targets and 3 of them that he caught were touchdowns from last week, then it's a different story. But I actually like it. And I mean, we could play the clip as well because this obviously includes Trey Tucker. But Trey Tucker was out there, he was catching the balls. He was catching them, and he was able to find open space, and that's where Geno Smith found him. I think this one was a deep one in the middle, yeah. So, again, those two, really good from Trey Tucker, and I'm all in on Trey Tucker.
All right.
Maybe rambled a little bit, but I do like him. I thought about talking about him. I just didn't want to take him from you, and I was like, let me see if I can go for a deep stash type of player, deep guy. Right. I ended up with Tyquan Thornton. Who would have known? Who would have thought Tyquan Thornton would have been a guy to talk about? I don't know. But Tyquan Thornton, Trey Tucker, our 2 waiver wire wide receivers of the week. Let's go into the tight ends. And Gary, start with your tight end.
So I own Brenton Strange. He's out there in a majority of leagues, only 30% owned. He had a good week last week, 12.1 points. Neither of us are fans of Trevor Lawrence, but the one thing that I think that we can both agree on is he kind of revitalized Ingram's career. And before that, outside of his rookie year, he was actually pretty solid his rookie year. In New York, he was not good. He was terrible as a Giant, but he comes to the Jaguars and he puts up like a tight end 5 season, looking like this absolutely insane stud that Trevor Lawrence loves throwing to. Now he's got Brenton Strange, who I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about other than the fact that he was the backup when Ingram was there and he would catch a touchdown here and there. He might be a factor in this offense now. Again, the value is there. Targets increasing every week, going from 4 to 5 to 7. Not to mention, me and you both, I think you talked about this not too long ago. You always look at how the guy does without catching touchdowns. He's a tight end of 15 so far without catching a touchdown. So he's not a tight end 1, but we're going off of waiver wires, guys, so don't really expect that. But he hasn't caught a touchdown yet, and he's tight end 15. So when the touchdowns are there, he'll be pretty solid.
Yeah, he could easily go up in touchdowns or points in position if somehow the touchdowns become a factor for him. But like you mentioned with Evan Ingram, I like Brent Strange. I think I talked about him a couple times last year in waivers when Evan Ingram got hurt and he was dealing with some injury. Such a strange pick. No, I have to.
Nice.
But no, I like him. I think he's a solid guy, and him performing without a touchdown and capitalizing is always a good sign to have on your roster. My guy is a guy that capitalizes with touchdowns, which is, again, it's a tough one to go sledding with these players who get low targets and also score touchdowns, because then you think it all comes down to the tight ends. But and it all comes down to the touchdowns with them. But my guy is Hunter Henry. He actually has some cool stats. He finished as a tight end 1 this week. Best tight end of the week, scoring 29 points. A bit of inconsistency, though, but he is averaging 7 targets a game, which is what you want. Carolina does give the 8th most to tight ends. And this is kind of what we saw last year with these two guys, with Drake May and Hunter Henry. But Hunter Henry, he's finished top 10 in 6 games last season. And when getting 7+ targets a game in the last 2 seasons, he's finished 6 of those 9 games. He's finished as tight end 8 or better, which is kind of what you want to see. So I was like, this is not a bad one to mention, but he does go into the top 10, top 8, and that's kind of what you want to see for tight ends. You want that top 8. So I think Hunter Henry is a guy, but we talked about him also last year a lot too. It's just more really be consistent.
Yeah, I mean, he just went off this last game against the Steelers. I remember watching him and thinking he's literally the only guy catching passes from Drake May. But, he's out there in 50% of leagues, and I think right now he's tight end 3. So I would go pick him up in a heartbeat. We talked about him last year, how, this could be the guy that Drake May loves to throw to as a security blanket, and I feel like we're kind of finally starting to see that. I can see Hunter Henry easily finishing as a top 10 tight end this year. And if that's the case, then you need to go get him right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know last year I went out and traded for him to go get him because I needed a tight end. And if you didn't get Zach Ertz or Harold Finnan, I believe they're both over 70% now, no?
I'm not sure. In one of my leagues, someone actually just dropped Ertz, so I just picked him up.
Really?
Yeah.
What in the world? Interesting. Yeah. Well, I think these two guys, Hunter Henry and Brent Strange, are 2 guys that definitely are good, solid waiver wire targets to go after for the tight end position. Any other mention on any other guy? I think we covered. It was a tough week to cover for what. Waivers.
It was a very, very tough week for waivers. I can't lie. Obviously, the big ones. Trey Benson and Trey Tucker, if that's a guy that you want to go for just because he put up 40, then I don't shame you for that at all.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's get into the final segment of the day, and of course, it is talking about Thursday night football predictions. We are back, and Gary is so back. He's coming with the regime from last year. I mean, he is all in. It is the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Arizona Cardinals in NFC West showdown. The over-under is a 43.5 margin. Gary, start with you. Who are you going with in this rivalry game?
Yeah, this is a tough one, man. I'm going to go with the Seahawks, but I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the over-under. But I just have a feeling this will be an ugly game. I think some guys that are pretty notable in fantasy might have dud weeks unless they, do good without the touchdown. I'm going to go Seattle 2017.
2017. That would mean that you're taking the under, no?
Yes.
Ooh, man. Well, the question is, will you go 8-0 because you're 6-0 right now, and getting ridiculous that you have not lost yet. It's getting pretty ridiculous, Gary. I'm 3-3. Nah, it's not. I'm 3-3. I'm 3 games behind, or 3 predictions behind. But I am gonna go against you.
Okay.
But it's not on the team. I am taking the Seahawks, but I'm taking a 24-20, which would count just over. If somehow, some way it becomes 23-20, I'm done. I'm done. I quit these over-unders because it's ridiculous.
24-20 was actually the score that I was bouncing back and forth between 24-20 or 2017. I kind of just, eeny, miny, mowed it and went with 2017. I can see either hitting, but either way, I think it's going to be an ugly game. It's a low total, so if it gets hit, then it doesn't necessarily mean that there were a ton of points scored either. So, but I'm going to go with the under.
I pray and hope that it goes with the over. If it goes with the under, I'm so done. I'm done with it. Any more news notes that we haven't mentioned? If anything came up, I don't know if anything came up. I don't think anything did.
I've been seeing a lot of baseball just because it's coming down to the wire. Wild card, we're
yeah.
so
Well,
close.
I would if you're the Guardian. If you're a Guardians fan.
Oh yeah, baby, they're coming, baby, they're coming.
If you're a Guardians fan,
big series.
Who are they facing this series?
Facing the Tigers right now.
Oh, that's a good series.
They're only a game back from the division right now after being back 15.5. So once we hop off, I am seated. I am watching that game. You got to take 2 out of 3, and division will be in their favor going into the last series of the year.
It's gonna be a tough one for you guys, but I mean, you guys have the upper hand against the Astros for the wild card. But I just hope the Red Sox somehow don't choke and get eliminated.
Listen, Guardians fans could be Red Sox fans going into the last series of the season. You guys play the Tigers, so
we do.
If we take 2 out of 3 or sweep the Tigers this series, we're Red Sox fans. I'm going to be cheering on the Red Sox for the first time in my life.
About time.
About
time. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see the Mets not make it. That's my excitement.
Yeah, hopefully. That'll be hilarious.
I'd like to see the Reds make it over the Mets. It would just be so funny to watch.
That'd be funny.
The Mets held a wide playoff spot since April 4th.
Yeah.
And they lost it.
Crazy.
They choked.
It's crazy.
Typical New York team.
Yep.
But that's, of course, going to do it in this week's show. Great show. Again, if you haven't done so already, go use Underdog Fantasy. Go use the code SportsTimeHQ, and we'll match first deposit up to $1,000. Gary, are you doing any bets this week on Underdog that you can think of?
Yeah. I don't know, but I was going to say if I do, I'll be making sure to use Underdog.
Code SportsTimeHQ. Their match first deposit up to $1,000. And again, if you're looking to purchase a trophy, ring, or belt for your fantasy leagues, I know baseball, if you're in fantasy, right now it's the championship week. I unfortunately got eliminated last in the first quarterfinals. I got eliminated, lost by 1 in the categories. But
I got eliminated in the semis. So
it's a tough sled. Yep. But again, TreviSmack.com/SportsTimeHQ. Of course, you use that link, you order stuff with that link. We're able to get you discounts like 50% off rings through TrophySmack.com. We're here every single week, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Sundays at 10 a.m. for starts and sit questions that you may have. As you know, I'm my great co-host, Gary. Go follow him all over social media at GDPicks. And again, I'm Fernando. I'm your host, SportsTimeHQ, and we'll see you all next Sunday.